Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica Marie Emelander. I'm an independent author and lover of all things history, especially teaching history. Today I find myself in the beautiful Ludington, and I have the backdrop of Hamlin Lake right behind me in the beautiful Ludington State Park. So Ludington is a beautiful city, a lot of awesome places that you can go and visit, and I have some very fond childhood memories of Ludington as well. So as always, I love learning about the places that I go and visit, so let's go learn more about it. As in the case throughout North America, the very earliest inhabitants of what is now Ludington were the Native Americans. The Ottawa tribe settled near Pere Marquette Lake, which was named after Father Jacques Marquette, a Jesuit missionary who passed away on the shoreline in 1675 on his way back to St. Ignace. Burr Casewell and his family arrived here in 1847, the first permanent white settlers. It was a harsh wilderness of densely populated forest with no incoming roads. It was evident by all the pines that this area would make its mark from lumber. Over the years, numerous mills popped up along Pere Marquette Lake, but because the channel was so shallow, there was no way to get the lumber out to cities like Chicago and Milwaukee. James Ludington then entered the picture. It was around 1854, and he was a businessman in Milwaukee who took possession of property in Ludington that someone had defaulted on. He went into business with Charles Mears, another powerful man that had visions for the city. Ludington had Mears run his sawmill in exchange for developing the channel, making it wider and deeper. Unfortunately for Mears, once his 2-year contract was up, Ludington once again took control of the mill and had a newly improved channel in which to move his lumber. Mears was out of the picture, but he was still successful in his own right with many other mills in Pentwater and in the village of Lincoln. In 1873, the city of Ludington was chartered, due in part to James Ludington and the money that he put into the cause. Another major player in Ludington's development was Eber Ward. The Ludington Lumber Company donated property to Ward's idea of getting a railroad into town. Ward himself secured some of this property and built 2 mills. He was also a proponent of developing a permanent link across Lake Michigan from Ludington to Wisconsin. He died before seeing his dream come to fruition, but in the years to come, Ludington's harbor would become home to the largest car ferry fleet in the country. So James Ludington was born in 1827 in New York and moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1843. 2 years later, he and his father, Lewis, founded the city of Columbus, Wisconsin. Ludington spent years as a clerk in the old corner store, later becoming a proprietor. In 1854, George W. Ford borrowed money from him to begin a sawmill in the small village of Pere Marquette. 5 years later, Ford defaulted on this loan, and the sawmill became the property of James Ludington, so a little bit more detail to what we heard before. This was the beginning of his connection to the future town of Ludington. As the village grew, Ludington and Colonel John M. Loomis from Chicago began buying up acres of pine lands, providing employment and support to hundreds of men and their families. In 1867, Ludington platted the village of Pere Marquette, the same year he began the first newspaper, the Mason County Record. He eventually bought out Colonel Loomis in 1869, and the property, which had greatly increased in value, was sold to the Pere Marquette Lumber Company, which was his former sawmill. Included in the sale was 25,000 acres of pine lands, unsold village lots, and the mills, all for the huge sum of $500,000. James Ludington continued to put money into the village, which became one of the busiest in Michigan. Ludington brought in a railroad and provided funds for roads and bridges. He was also instrumental in securing appropriations from the government to improve the ever-important harbor. James Ludington never married, and his body now rests in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In addition to James Ludington, the other most influential figure in Ludington's history was Justice Stearns. He ran the Epworth Hotel for 10 years and was known as a caring and involved employer. In the early 1900s, the need for a hospital in Ludington prompted him to open his own home to use as a hospital. In 1907, the Paulina Stearns Hospital opened, named for his wife. Justice Stearns continued to support the hospital in the years to come, often stopping in and paying bills himself. Father Jacques Marquette is another influential figure in the history of Ludington, but he's such an influential figure in all of Michigan history that he's going to be having his own video very soon. So once again, Ludington is an awesome place to visit. If you haven't been there, I highly suggest you go. Rich in history and so many fun places to go and visit. So if you like hiking, if you like boating, if you like any of those things, go ahead to Ludington. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.